Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Self-Sustained Challenge with me, Sepo, where I aim to take Molotov here from level 1 to 70 while following the following rules. Rule number 1. Gear rewards from quests cannot be used, only sold. Rule number 2. Gear we use must come from fallen enemies or be crafted by ourselves. Rule number 3. The dungeon finder is not allowed to be used, excluding only once to finish Exile's Reach, should you choose to start there. Rule number 4. Getting gear from dungeon bosses is allowed, but you will have to get a group together and into the dungeon the old school way or solo it. And finally, rule number 5. Gear from vendors are allowed, with the exception of the one selling gear from Exile's Reach. And with that out of the way, you might be asking, Sepo, why are we in the Barrens? Which is a great question, which I can only answer with the roots. You see, since the Barrens is where some of the earliest episodes of this series happened, I figured as we are nearing level 60, we should return to our roots, hunting some of those same first rares for gear while doing somewhat of a victory lap before moving on to the Dragonisles. However, it turned out that the Barrens and its rare spawns did not want to yield much in the way of cloth gear, at least not as much as I had expected. First up on this victory lap is the Sludge Fen, where I make short work of the sludge anomaly via a healthy helping of fire magic to the face. I next take out a normal mob so as not to have to deal with it and Engineer Whirligig, who gets scarily close to ending me, though luckily for me, his robotic assistants can't swim as it turns out, so I don't have to worry about that at least. I'll then make my way up the oil rig, killing any and all goblins in my path so as to make room for my showdown with Foreman Grills. The poor bastard doesn't stand a chance, however, and I'm unsure if he even managed to land a single hit on me, as I first freeze him in place, then once he manages to close the gap, I blow him away from me, causing him to just kinda stand there for a bit while he figures out what the heck just happened. As I'm leaving, our old friend Tak the Leaper shows up, so I take him on Raptor a Gobbo, and while he does not outright murder me, he does seem to take a lot more damage than the others we just fought. But then again, agility does count towards defense, so that is probably what's happening here. I then fly over to Dreadmist Peak, where I start thinning out the Burning Blade cultists in the area, so as to make my fight with Rathorian easier. Blasting the demon with fire, I soon learn that he hits like a truck. He takes away a fourth of my health or so in a single hit. I then proceed to miss my Frost Nova, forcing me to make some distance and pop my mirror images to survive. They barely only survive long enough for me to slay the demon, however, so this is a very close call. After some demon slaying, I hit up the Forgotten Pools, where I am reminded of my frustrations with the local centaur. As I take on Stonearm and his bodyguards, I polymorph the caster before focusing down the normal warrior centaur, freezing Stonearm in place and getting some distance while finishing off the non-rare. Then focusing on Stonearm, pushing him away to avoid a bit of damage, then summoning mirror images to distract him while I finish him off. I then have to deal with the Stormcaller, as there is a chest in their camp. While probably not containing amazing loot, it will give a good deal of XP. However, as I alluded to earlier, I'm caught off guard by a roaming patrol that then is reinforced by another patrol. I just decide to say screw it and run away, turning invisible. Once both patrols are gone, I grab the chest, which pushes me to level 54. The chest contains cloth armor, but it's not scaled to my level, so it's useless outside of the appearance, which I have yet to add to my catalog. Going to my talents, I finally pick up Dragon's Breath, which has been sorely missed since Dragonflight changed the talent system. Now, while we have killed Stonearm, that doesn't mean we're done with the pools just yet. While I was looking for Stonearm, I picked up a Kulkar booty key, so before leaving I will have to go and get my hands on that booty. This is much easier said than done though, as the Centaur of the Barrens guard their booty with fierce vigilance, with multiple mobs on guard at a time, including a quest mob who, due to his special status, will respawn much faster than any normal mob would. I therefore have to be extremely careful while engaging the Centaur, always keeping an eye out for patrols while taking the booty guards one by one. Indeed, I end up having to kill Barak Kodobane and have his still smoking remains laying on the ground right next to him. No matter, as I end him twice and claim the Centaur booty, which, as it turns out, is a 8-slot bag, a nice little upgrade over one of my 6-slot bags. That done, I head to Lushwater Oasis, and while I do not head down into the Wailing Caverns for the 2 rares down there, I do take out one rare that I missed last time I was here back in episode 3. I drop into the waters of the Oasis and face off against Gasharahan, the Hydra, using Dragon's Breath for the first time, as well as Blast Wave, managing to slay the beast before it can do much if any damage at all. Heading then in a somewhat eastward direction, I locate Rocklands and Brokespear, taking on the former one first. And while Rocklands didn't stand much of a chance against a single Blast Wave and some Pyroblasts, he did yield a sizable upgrade in the form of a chest piece that is 53 item levels better than what I am wearing. Next, I need to first get to Brokespear before I can take him on. And as he is surrounded by other guys, it simply means burning the camp to the ground before dealing with them. Despite his name, Brokespear is in fact a very capable spear thrower. Wait, is his name a reference to how hard he can yeet a spear? His ranged attacks, however, are kind of weak sauce, and I destroy him rather easily, wrestling from his cold dead hands a pair of gloves that are another nice upgrade. Finishing up my victory lap in the Barrens, I go on a safari, hunting Huma, the Pride Lord, a ferocious lion, who is one of those now rare mobs in the game who calls for help, drawing in other mobs in the nearby area into the fight when his health gets a bit low. This leads to the destruction of not only his mate, but also his heir. The Lion King this is not. I also take on the Zebra Swiftmane, who while fast, while you try to catch him, doesn't really have much in the way of flair when it comes to combat. I guess that's the point of him being hard to catch. Done with my victory lap in the Northern Barrens, I move on to a more experimental place for rare hunting, Pandaria. Arriving via teleportation, I soon set my sights on my first rare, Quite. A water elemental who can take a beating and then some, all while dealing one out. Being a rare from the Vale of Eternal Blossom, however, means that he has no gear for us to use, and so I move on looking for my next target, who I come upon in the Jade Forest after searching both the Valley of Four Winds and Crasherang Wilds. Cornash Night Savage is a Mogu Shadowmancer, so one would expect him to drop cloth gear. I engage him in mortal combat, only to realize a theme with the rares of Pandaria. They really are some tough bastards, who can easily kick your keister if you're not careful. Great as mini solo bosses, but not so great when you are undergeared and just want to remedy that situation. I do manage to kill the son of a gun, only for the spiteful Richard to drop a pair of male trousers, much to my dismay. Next, I find Yurobi the Walker, peacefully meditating in Shang's Valley. I sadly woke up this morning and chose violence, however, so we engage in a battle to the death. A fight that, in the first round, I very nearly lose, given that Yurobi is a monk. Giving him strong melee attacks, strong ranged chi blasts, a healing spell you do not want to miss your interrupt on, as well as a devastating roundhouse kick. I very nearly die and see only one escape, that being invisibility. Round 2 comes around after I recover from my keister kicking, and having learned from my past mistakes, I have formulated a plan to defeat Yurobi. I start the fight by popping all of my cooldowns, then blasting the ever-living manure out of him, blinking away when he starts his roundhouse kick, then using the pillars between us to interrupt his castings. I repeat this till I have put him in the ground, earning me level 55, where I grabbed the improved combustion talent. This was the fight that was a real eye-opener for me about Pandaria. The rares here are tough, very tough, and while I do not mind a challenge, going from one long hard fight to another and not getting any good gear out of it in return is not really my idea of fun. That said, I did take a moment to look for treasure while in Pandaria, as one thing I missed from the expansion was the findable gear scattered around the environment. And I managed to locate one item I've wanted to find since Pandaria, the ancient Jinyu staff. Sadly, the staff does not scale with player level, so it's simply a fun piece of transmog at this point. Feeling just a little dejected from Pandaria, I returned to my victory lap, heading to Western Plaguelands, doing the same route as last time, but with fewer cloth drops to show for it in the end. Despite doing the whole circuit twice and heading into the hinterlands again as well.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just look me up. Don't be scared. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just look me up. Don't be scared.
And as this episode draws to a close, I have only one thing left to say. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like and a dislike if you didn't. And while I'm not your boss, subscribe if you want to, it means a lot to me. And if you have done all of that, you can also head over to my Twitch, where I sometimes stream, where you can have a direct impact on the action going on. And with all that said, see ya!